Okay, so Abbott and Costello, everybody knows them for Who's on First and all that stuff. But I'm kind of fascinated by all this because when movies really started, it all grew out of other entertainment things, you know, and vaudeville and all this, you know, Nickelodeons and theater at the time. And the comedians kind of made Hollywood in a sense, you know? So,
well, them and Lassie and Rinton Tin, you know, the dogs. There's a great story that Alan was telling me about when they first, how Lou and Bud come together the first time.
Well, they were in vaudeville, they were other partners.
yeah,
And they would see each other perform with other partners, and they were just okay, and they became friends backstage, and they realized they had a certain rhythm with each other, and they started doing Who's on First with each other, and made each other laugh, and then they split to go back on the road with their respective partners, and then ultimately they decided that they should be with each other.
yeah, yeah.
And the thing was around for a long time, I think, Who's on First. There's a guy in this movie, he writes special material.
John Grant was the writer, and to my knowledge, his specialty, I think he was originally a vaudevillian himself, but his specialty was to take these routines that were out there, like the Lemon Bit and Who's on First. And I think in the movie tonight, is it 40 and 10?
Yeah.
I think he also had something to do with that too. So he tailored it specifically for Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, he would come in, the basic bit would be there, he'd be Mr. Miyagi, trim it back, bonsai, get it in great shape, and then when you mix in their alacrity of language, it's so funny when you think of Costello, you think of him as sort of like, I don't know, I always think physical comedian, bit of a tough little cat, but boy, the speed, the rat-a-tat is absolutely beautiful.
And it's kind of fascinating because back then, all of this stuff was regional, you know? So you could have bits that played in different regions, and like nobody knew that the guy that they were seeing doing it wasn't like making it on the spot, right? So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Due to social media and that, the whole world's available almost instantaneously. Back then, if somebody was doing it in the Northeast Power Corridor, nobody knew about it in the Mississippi Valley.
Exactly. And so, like, different comics would do the same routine.
Yeah, and Smith and Dale doing the Dr. Cronkite routine forever. And that was what they went around to every city doing, and it was fresh and it was new to those specific locales.
I do know that when they were in vaudeville, that the split, unbelievably, and let's face facts, there is the business part of show business, the split comes down to Abbott at 60 and Lou at 40. And that sticks in Lou's craw for the rest of his life. And he finally, you know, all of a sudden Abbott turns into Andrew Ridgely to Lou Costello's George Michael and Wham. And Lou wants to change it to Costello and Abbott. Universal says no. And he says, listen, I'm not going any further with this unless this is a 50-50 show.
Well, back then they thought that the spread man was the strength of the act, and that the funny guy was like a lesser form. He just did the punchlines, and that's why it was like that. It was standard throughout that time.
Well, Abbott, I know, lives to be 76. Lou goes much earlier than that because it seems like me, he was doing the heavy lifting there. Abbott lasts till he's 76. Groucho ends up calling him the best straight man ever.
Yeah.
And I hear these stories, and I think it's sweet when they say that the straight man's the most important part. But I gotta tell you can lead a horse to water, but somebody's gotta issue the coup de grace.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of two Bud Abbotts on stage.
Where's Rock
versus
and
two.
Mr. Miyagi? Both showed up in this conversation.
I'm just saying, if there were two Bud Abbotts on stage, it'd be walking out, it'd be Ibsen's Dollhouse or something, you know? If there's two Costellos, it might get a little manic, but you're at least laughing your ass off. So the whole thing about the straight man is good up to the point, but somebody's gotta do the...